Good morning, you all. Would you believe it? Very wake up. It's time to stream. No. Not molding right now. Would you believe it? I got sick. I got sick again. Oh no, I got sick again. My body is now just so lethargic. I actually had like close to how many hours of sleep? How many hours of sleep ever had? How many hours of sleep did I get? Let me check. 12 hours of sleep. And I still feel crap. But you know what? I don't care. Got enough energy for the stream, I'm gonna do the stream. Oh, but now it's a pre-stream. Good morning to you all. Good morning to you all, workers. So many of you joining the pre-stream again. 11 of you. That's very nice. I would like to say that the week has died down a bit. Everything has died down a bit, but I'd be lying. I'd be honestly lying if I say that not much has happened this week, because some things have happened this week, and there are some very sneaky things that have happened behind the scenes while all of this chaos was unfolding. I'll talk about it in 20 minutes time. Chan, would you guess I caught something again. I caught something again. And I feel like even after like 10 hours, 12 hours of sleep, I still feel tired. Touch wood is not serious. Touch wood is not serious. No, I caught something. I got sick. My characters are still there, thank God. It will be a lot of craziness if... Don't know, I'm not even going to think about it. It was like a one-off incident where... I shouldn't talk about it. It's probably a once-off problem. You don't need to worry yourself about it. Anyway... Rain... Laika or Rain, whichever you choose, our uni. Welcome. Good morning to you too. And it seems Silent Hill F is coming out soon. I have been watching the review from ACG and seeing if it's any good. I hope if it's good, I might save up some money for that horror stream. Let's watch it together for a bit. For the last 20 minutes.
All the way up if you want. It actually runs very well. Pretty much anybody with any system, if you have something low end, you can turn that lumen all the way off. Also, almost all the typical Unreal stutter is missing from the game. Hell's Us also was able to ultimately scare the shit out of the Unreal Engine stuttering enough to get it to run mostly smoothly, and here is the same. You do get an odd annoying bump that happens in a particular scene in some fields where getting lost means getting warped back to the starting point. And
so far... Oh my god. I cannot believe I'm hearing this right now. After the disaster of Borderlands 4, performance-wise, and the disastrous PR done by the most self-sabotaging CEO imaginable, it seems Silent Hill F's performance might be okay so far, from reviews.
And results in a momentary stop as the mist floods the screen, then fades away. Other than that, pretty goddamn smooth. What else is smooth? The audio. There are a few times that a game gives me the chills. I was shuffling through a field trying to find my way to the opposite side of a location that seemed to have 4 compass points, west, 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 and west. And hearing a scarecrow that's come alive behind me, shuffling faster when I was not looking, popping around on its pokey looking weird ass legs, was scary as shit. However, I did notice some oddities in the audio, especially in particularly occluded areas, where it sounded like there was almost too much processing on some of the echo, especially in some courtyard areas where it just didn't necessarily sound particularly good. And there were occasional times.
Yeah, I do think that calling it Silent Hill is a bit redundant at this point, but hey, Konami has to use the IP, right? So far, the review says the game is pretty good as a horror game.
Where it was a bit difficult to tell where a monster was, but for the most part, pretty good. Voice work, I was fine with this. Both tracks, when it comes to Japanese and English, I listened to. Their narrative isn't particularly think-worthy. You're not sitting there listening to some Persona cat talking to you for like 12 minutes before telling you to just go to sleep. So switching between the two was fine. I think I played about 50-50. The music is also very impactful. Now, listen, it's an affair of almost odd clicks and clacks, warbling synths, and some slightly off-chord musical tones. None of it rising up so much that you can't hear that weird sound of a knife-wielding, homicidal, broken-back doll person chasing you down a set of steps in the world's slowest fast chase. But I'm not kidding. It's really good, even though it's not necessarily as musical as you would expect. Very, very off-kilter, very creepy, and adds a perfect edge to the game. Now, some things we're not allowed to talk about. Also, we can't show any footage after a very short amount of time in the game that's our own, so I'll use some trailer footage here. But I will tell you there's a reason to beat the game and continue playing. That's about the most we can say. There are some other endings there. When it comes to fun factor, Silent Hill games have always been up and down for me. The ones I've liked, I've really liked, and the others are hit and miss to the point of forgetting entire story sections. And luckily, the games are like the Scream series, where the bad guy here is humanity's supernatural scars left on the world and how they impact us, so they can show up anywhere. Each is a dive into the psychological cages humanity traps themselves in. What I loved about Silent Hill F is that the Japanese thoughts on humanity, family roles, life expectations, and treatment are all their own mini cages, and exploring that as a young girl in a small town, or at least apparently, adds its own sense of super alienness. Less familiar than the prior games due to their overall Western theme, but here I love the friggin' laser
for me, it's just a bit of a... It's nice to see a little bit of, as the Bak Chor would say, a little bit of you in the game. So yeah, Asian culture. That'll be nice.
focus on the...
Still, I don't know why they still call it Silent Hill. They could have just called it something else and then say, why Silent Hill F? Why is it called Silent Hill F?
The idea that regardless of all the social dognards that blather on about how every group, religion, and people that they like are better than everybody else, Silent Hill's consistent idea is that, nope, humans ultimately suck. Not because we manually create monsters, but we let psychological ones continue and grow. In many ways, we feed them, and sometimes the world vomits it back out.
Oh, P, I don't want to play Fatal Frame Remake. I don't want to play Fatal Frame. I hate Fatal Frame. And not because it's a bad game, but because it's so scary. It is way too scary, Fatal Frame. No.
On us, and that's where you spend your time in this game, in the mix of a lot of mistakes. So let's give this thing a rating. First, it's best to realize this is the most divergent of the Silent Hill games by, oddly enough, going back to its roots, which is inherently Japanese-style horror, and away from the westernized way in which Silent Hill has pretty much evolved across decades. I personally enjoyed the unique setting, different locations, cultural shift, and it was more than I expected, and it continues to adjust as you replay.
Xanat, to the absolute surprise of me, it seems Silent Hill F is properly optimized. My god, what a shock. What an extreme shock. I never would have expected to hear those words. Apparently, according to ACG, you can run the game on a low-end hardware just by turning off all the lumen stuff. and reduce the quality from high to medium. Apparently.
But by going back to its roots, it shows just how far Silent Hill itself has come and how different regions handle horror. However, it's far from perfect, and changes may not resonate with you, especially if you're accustomed to the more over-the-top way in which the Silent Hill games are. At its times, and at its greatest times, it's psychological horror and requires more thought and understanding of the differences in the culture than the prior games did. Now, for me, this is a buy. I think it's awesome. I love the change up, and it was just different enough to keep me interested. It's a game, though, that is at odds, where familiarity is now alien, and its alienness is weirdly returning to its roots. And that means a fundamental shift in not only pacing and tone, and if that's something that you loved from the other games, this might not be for you, which does mean lots of story, maybe not so much telling. Where mystery is the magic, and this magician is not going to tell you a lot of his secrets, even on multiple playthroughs. Anyway, that's it for me. Check out the next review. I have Death on...
Let's see game rank.
Hey, we're back with another episode of...
Why I'm watching this is because, like I say, lurkers, because of the stream goals I promised on horror game playthrough. And I told you I'm gonna wait for Silent Hill F. So I might as well just watch the reviews for it.
Before you buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Silent Hill F. This is just like a completely new Silent Hill game. And this is extremely significant because other than Short Message and the Silent Hill 2 remake, the franchise has been dormant since 2012. Back then, with Downpour and Homecoming, it felt like the franchise was starting to lose its edge, you know? For anybody other than the hardcore fans, it never felt like the franchise quite lived up to that legendary run of Silent Hill 1 through 4. Obviously, you can debate some of that, but I'm just generalizing here. So, with Silent Hill F, they went back to the drawing board completely. Like, new time period, new setting, new character, almost a completely different type of horror and presentation.
Merrick, it's a plugin.
In some aspects. So, to not mince words here, right up front, Silent Hill's Return is really solid. It's a pretty good game. It's not quite incredible. It's weird and flawed and sometimes frustrating, but it also scared me a few times. It's dripping in really good atmosphere, beautiful art, great environment design, and managed to try things and show me things that I haven't seen in a video game before. Some memorable moments. Look, I got quite a few complaints. It might sound like I'm hating on some aspects, but I want to make it clear, I'm glad I played through it. All Silent Hill games have flaws. There are some incredibly memorable moments and just cool-ass stuff here, and some of it is going to stick with me. I'd say diehard fans with an open mind, absolutely try it. More casual horror fans, maybe wait or watch some other reviews, but yeah. So I've been playing a review copy, and just so you know, this video is extremely spoiler-free, and this footage was captured running on a PS5 Pro. So, in Silent Hill F, you play as Hinako. She's a young girl in 1960s Japan in a small, quiet, kind of washed-up town. And look, you're not gonna believe this. The town gets taken over by a mysterious fog, and weird, grotesque monsters show up. So, you venture through this foggy town, you're fighting monsters.
This is less Silent Hill and more the Fog Japan. The Mist Japan. Yeah, that move, based on the move. Yeah, it actually reminds me more of the movie.
Also, sometimes ending up transported to another strange world, all while not really sure what is real and what isn't. So, a pretty authentic Silent Hill-y experience. And it's a pretty straightforward, if sometimes super linear, third-person survival horror experience. I am personally really glad they didn't try and reinvent the wheel here. Silent Hill, if anything, has been survival horror with some weird sticking points, and that's once again the case here. So, combat. There is quite a bit of it in the game, actually more than I expected. This feels like one of the biggest changes, and I'm kind of mixed on it. Combat in Silent Hill games has never really been incredible, but I'm not going to give it a free pass completely here. It is a good mix of slow and deliberate while still very active at the same time, if that makes sense. So you have a very small stamina bar to worry about for attacks and dodging. You can get a perfect dodge and have a small window of opportunity, and even occasionally parry an enemy attack for bonus damage. Despite that empowering stuff, right, the main character is still slow and weak like a good survival horror game protagonist. So it's an interesting mix. 1 minute you can feel badass with like a
Oh, and by the way, this is in Japan, so no guns. Not like in Silent Hill.
Perfect dodge, and then in another you can take a big swing of your weapon like a pipe or a crowbar at an enemy and completely miss. And since the animations are so slow, you can feel helpless in like a good survival horror way. You also have a sanity meter, which you need to spend carefully. If you run out of sanity, enemies that do sanity damage will instead whittle away at your health. This sanity meter lets you do special focus attacks that hit harder and potentially parry enemies easier. Items or prayer checkpoints can help fill the sanity meter back up. And on the normal difficulty, it's manageable, but turn it up and it's something you're going to need to pay attention to way more. My only issues with the combat are that in close quarters, like, interior sections and in small rooms, the game will...
Exactly, OP. I have a feeling it's just Silent Hill for the sake of cashing in on the IP. So consider it as its own game. You could just call it The Mist or something like that.
Will often throw you an enemy, and it really turns into a mess. The camera gets jammed up, the lock-on already isn't great, so it just feels painful to deal with enemies in small indoor places, and you do a lot. And the other thing is, there's just a lot of combat and not enough variation throughout. So towards the end, it just feels like you get spongier enemies, the same enemies you've been fighting for hours and hours.
I don't know why, but I suddenly thought of a joke. Silent Hill F. The F means you got F in your exams and now you're living a horror story. I got the real plot, by the way, Silent Hill F. Spoiler alert. The main character got an F in her exams and now she's living a horror story. Pack it up, Lucas, pack it up. I spoiled you the story of Silent Hill F.
Hours. So, whacking the hell out of an enemy you met 10 hours ago that was scary then, but isn't scary anymore, and you just keep smacking them until it dies and it's not going down for like 7 or 8 hits, it just gets kind of grating and dull after a while.
Oh, and all of these monsters you're fighting are just other people who got F's in their exam.
There are some shakeups here and there, but by the end, I just really didn't look forward to another combat encounter. Also, there is weapon degradation. You can find more weapons or like repair kits to fix one you currently have. So it makes exploring off the main path a bit of a risk reward because the game is so combat heavy and the weapons are so breakable. It's always just happy to throw you more enemies. So was breaking your weapon, fighting 2 enemies on a side path worth it just to grab some extra healing items? It's going to be up to you. Like I said, risk reward. It can be stressful, and I do actually think it might piss some players off, but I didn't mind it. I kind of liked it. Still, combat has some good moments, and as much as I wanted more enemies and creatures, I will say they are mostly really awesome. I think there's like 1 or 2 misses that feel a little more generic, but like every other grotesque monster otherwise is a banger. Like just really gross, nasty.
I don't mind it. Here's the thing about weapon degradation. If it's in like in an adventure game like Zelda, terrible, horrible, stupid idea. But if it's in like a horror game, I don't mind it. And also, if you have like unique weapons, draw a line on that one as well. Unique weapons like all those plot weapons or special Easter egg weapons, don't give them a degradation.
Nasty, cringe-inducing in the best Silent Hill-esque ways, but also kind of with a different flavor. And that's kind of the theme of the whole game. Now, in terms of progression stuff, as you explore, you're going to find items to cash in at a shrine, like they're like save points, to spend on what are essentially perks. better health, a little better stamina, a bonus when dodging, smaller things like that. The shrine also lets you cash in normal items like, a health or a sanity restoring item or something like that. So inventory can be stressful because Hinako never has enough room and you're always juggling too many items on normal difficulty. Still, the opportunity to trade in a valuable item for a potential valuable upgrade is a nice option. The inventory management just feels a bit messy and unorganized, and there's just too many different item types that often end up doing the same thing. Now, like I said, in typical Silent Hill game fashion, you're in the town, but then you're also transported to darker, creepier places, and I think that the second area you're transported to is kind of 50-50.
Oh, no.
It starts off like a total,
Oh, no.
I don't know, slog. Like, it's just boring and dull, but it eventually gets a little more interesting. Still, it's never as visually incredible as classic Silent Hill worlds, but conceptually, some of the ideas they have going on in this world is cool and is worth it. Now, there are quite a bit of puzzles in this game, and the puzzles, which have their own difficulty slider, which I use the default one, and I still found them to be very challenging. Some of the puzzles really stuck me. Some of them I felt like they kind of like changed up their rules and didn't follow the rule. Like, it's hard to explain, but maybe I'm dumb. Some of the puzzles I really struggled with. Some of them made me pull my hair out. The game also does commit the sin of locking you in a room because it is so linear. It locks you in a room and says, hey, you're not leaving, you're not progressing in the game until you solve this puzzle right in front of you. And that can be a little frustrating at times.
Zero. I am extremely bad at puzzles. The only, other than the ghosts, the other real fear I have with survival horror are puzzles. No, I can't do with puzzles. You lurkers, you have to help. If I ever stream this game, when I stream this game, I will need help with puzzles. I don't care about using my brain. I just want answers. But anyway, stream's about to start. I'm going to take a very short break. And I'll be back with you after the short break. And I can start the stream properly, okay? It was the pre-stream, and thank you for y'all for joining the pre-stream. I'll talk to y'all later. Alright, let's see what you all been talking while I was away. Pedro, thank you for joining in the stream just for a few minutes, even if to say hi. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very much. You lurkers asked for this. You lurkers asked for this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the notification bell button to get further updates on my streams. If you don't, something will happen to you at 3 a.m. $5 a month. Okay, it's gonna become a ritual if it wasn't obvious anymore. Okay, let me just Alright, let's have a look at I'm gonna do a little bit of something. I wanna start. By the way, I'm trying to keep the yapping part of the stream a little short for this week because I promise you, lurkers, I will do something. And I feel that I am. If I don't do it anymore, you'll have the impression I'm dragging my feet about it. So I'm going to limit my talking for today to maybe an hour or two maximum, and the rest I'm going to do that thing that I promise you all, lurkers, okay? I'll do that thing. Electronic controller, if you didn't know, I caught something. Yeah, I got sick again. I got sick again. Feel more tired than I usually am. But that's not gonna stop me from streaming. No, not for me. Anyway, let's start with the talks about. Let's start with a bit of a yapping. Well, it's not really yapping, it's ranting. Have you heard these? Let's start. Let me see. Have you heard of all these phrases? All these very, very common phrases. Oh boy. Oh boy. Jaded, good morning. I have some news. Especially on this last part, both sides equally bad. Oh boy, do I have some news for you all. On this one? Okay? Lurkers, with this in your mind, remember this news? Do y'all know the context of this news? Do y'all know what happened? You all know what happened? And do you know all the reactions you got from people like David Pacman? A lot of reactions you got from people like Karl Kulinski. The reactions you get from all of those Pak Jaw everywhere saying that this is censorship, or this is breaching free speech, or now the right wingers are evil, and then all that things. The right wingers are the true fascists and all that things. You remember that? Yes. Long story short, why he got at that time, I'm going to tell you why he's at that time indefinitely suspended, was because despite all of the evidence and even FBI reports and all of that, and the fact that the perpetrator's own father and bishop and pastor turned him in, Jimmy Kimmel still said that it was a MAGA guy who did everything. He'd be like, oh no, it has nothing to do with the leftists. It is you, MAGA, who killed your own, or something like that. That was basically his entire point. And of course, people were not very happy about that, because he's making it into a very even more political situation than it already was, which is saying a lot. And because of that, the execs at ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel, because at that point in time, lying about people, especially about someone who is already dead, is not a good look for any corporation. But you know what happened? Lucas, you know what happened? You know what happened, Lucas? Do you know what happened? Are you keeping track? Because I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something interesting. I want you to keep track. I need to show you this. Let me cover this. Let me cover this first. I want to show you some of the responses I've received. I've seen, more like. Let's have a look. So, for instance, you got this guy, David Pacman. Okay? And another one. Classic. Mr. Heroic Socialist. All of anyone who is not us. Basically, it's not even right-wingers now, by the way, look. It's not even right-wing now. Any moderates, any just left-leaning, anyone who is not us are fascists. That is their entire idea. So I want to get back to this. Remember this? Something happened. 2 days ago. Roughly 2 days ago. Because Jimmy Kimmel was suspended by ABC, some so-called lawyer, a lawyer by the way, he has a law degree. He is a lawyer, but he is a Pak Jaw. He thought it was a very, very good idea to turn up at an ABC TV station and discharge some lead at the building. At the building windows, rough around. And there was a lot of people working in that building when it happened. So yeah, charged with assault with a deadly weapon, negligent firearm discharge, shooting in an occupied building. More of this. He is an extreme leftist. A pak chor. True and true pak chor. Shot at the window. Shot at the window. And he has said a lot of very crazy things. And you know what? You know what? You know what? Because this guy showed up in ABC building, Jimmy Kimmel came back. So, what does that tell you, lurkers? Of course, I'll preface this by saying for legal reasons, all of the different journalist sites are trying to say it had nothing to do with it. Of course they wouldn't. It has something to do with the supposed, it's just a protest that is pressuring them to bring him back. And so ABC brought him back. No. And they conveniently completely ignored. They conveniently ignored this. Oh yeah, of course. It was just a protest. They didn't make any, not a single mention about the incident, by the way, Lucas. Just so you all know, not a single mention of the incident from any of the so-called mainstream media sites. Some even have the gall to say, other fellow celebrities, they were protesting and making posts protesting the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. That's why ABC had a heart and brought him back. No. It was because of this. In my opinion, in my most humble opinion. So let's have a summation of the facts. Okay? Roughly 5 or so days ago, then it's 2 days ago, so lurkers, this might just be opinion, but what it looks like to me is, it looks like to me the Pak Chor have just tried to threaten and use violent force to force a person who abides by their political views to be reinstated into a TV program. And what does that sound like, lurkers? Sounds like a word that starts with T. And it's a word that ends with ism. Doesn't that sound about right, Lyricus? So yeah. To you Papjaw out there, you're going to spit out nonsense like both sides are equally bad? Justify this to me. Justify this to me. You're upset that Jimmy Kimmel got suspended. Then someone on your side shoot up. An ABC TV station. Thankfully, no one got hurt. 200K bail. 200K. Either he's really, really rich or someone bailed him. Here's what I can tell you. Here's the only thing that I can tell you. Both sides have the potential to do wrong. But it is a blatant lie in saying that both sides are equally bad right now. Because I have eyes, I have ears. And I have a brain. I say right now disproportionately one side is worse than the other. Jean, hello? Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. And if you need further proof that one of the sides quite literally gets all the special treatment, with not even the most minimal of, how I would say, customary consequences at worst. I want to show you this again. So, there is this post from this guy. There is no video of Destiny calling Trump supposed to be that. He said the opposite. As for his quote about fear, he said he should be afraid of his own rhetoric.
No.
You genuinely do hate conservatives, don't you?
Very much so. I've moved full on to like the political violence level, or the real violence level, when it comes to conservative people. Yeah, I think they need to be like excised from my fucking country. I think they are demonstrably fucking evil people by any moral system that most people would use. And then I just hate them because they tend to destroy the outcomes related to this country, which is what I'm concerned with. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm ready for the great cleansing, dude.
Cleansing?
The cleansing.
What cleansing?
When we genocide conservatives in this country.
Are you gonna be out in the streets with your Glock?
Maybe. I gotta go back to Nebraska and grab it.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude. The firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am. 100%. Fuck it. Fuck the dude. The firefighter guy.
Cox has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this. That's just
I'm sorry. Excuse me. When?
Yesterday, he said that. the
No.
governor.
When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college? Not
I don't
the
know when he
18
was
years that
radicalized, but I do
because
know.
what you just said
I
is
do
not
know the
true.
very
No, that's not
reasonable
true.
sounding governor of Utah
No.
has made
No,
it
it's not
clear
true.
that the
No, he hasn't made.
No, it's not true. Source? I said so. That's literally his entire point. It is false because I said so. And we're going to talk about this later. I'm going to talk about this later, and I don't know whether you all want to listen to it, but I'm going to talk about this later. That whole part of he or she was from a conservative family, therefore he or she is a devout conservative or something like that. I want to talk about that later because this is not from my knowledge personally, but it is from my observations running a Facebook page for so many years. I'll talk to you about it later. Let us finish
You may
this.
not want
He
to
said
hear
this is an
this.
ongoing investigation.
You may not want to
You don't
hear
wanna
it, Destiny,
yours.
but the reality is the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology that drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me
Yeah,
just
that's
ask
just
you.
not true.
Let me just
There's
ask
no
you.
way
well,
to deal with it. You're
Okay,
living in a
accusing the
delusional
governor of
fantasy.
lying.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative. But
Sure.
if it turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up.
I mean, you kind of have to look at the casings. Casings on day 0 of the incident. If it wasn't enough of a hint,
Up Charlie Kirk, would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So
The
you
fact
won't
that he
condemn
can go
the
on
murder of
Fox and
Charlie
Friends-
Kirk
I'm
until
just-
Donald Trump says
Here's-
something.
I'm a YouTuber. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Donald Trump can't go on TV and say, all of us need to calm down.
Right.
Can you tell me why he cannot?
Why?
turn down the temperature for a decade. I still remember 2015. It was arguably even before Trump, before the Orange Man. Before that, in terms of mainstream at least, of course if we are going non-mainstream, we can go to as early as 2014. We can go to as early as 2014 if we are not talking about mainstream.
You will
But-
have nothing and you will like it.
I thought hobbits were merry people. Why is this fella so angry? Tummy ache. At this point, I don't even care if people make fun of him. He is not a pleasant person. Destiny is not a pleasant person. There is a reason why, from what I recall, there's a reason why his son hates him. Let's just leave it at that. In my opinion. But anyway, back to that point. If we want to go to we're just going to go with mainstream, okay? Mainstream 2015, late 2015 Brexit. At that point in time already, you were already seeing the so-called moral and good bak chor, the leftists, the very strong leftists, going around calling people, the windmill gangsters, calling people bigots, calling people, oh, you just want this because you are racist, and all of that usual spiel that they usually just throw around. It started from as early as that. And then Orange Man Trump announced that he would be running for president. At first, everyone took it laughingly. All of the people from the left and everyone from the left, and of course the usual, the usual talk show hosts and all of this, they were just making fun of him. Making fun of him, mocking him, saying there's no way he's gonna win, and then talk about all of that. I remember, what was that guy's name? What's the guy's name? Well, I don't know. The one he said it's the current year. The one who made it's the current year meme. But I remember he said something like, "Do it, just do it, Trump. I'm gonna pay directly to your campaign, not to see you win, but to see you try." Yeah, John Oliver, exactly right. Everyone was just making fun of him. And then, when Trump beat all of his rivals, political rivals, until all he had was Hillary, the words started to shift. Trump didn't really say anything different from his early appearances in politics. Did not. I watched. He was, for most parts, the same. Until he started. People reacted normally, relatively, mocking him and laughing him at most. But it all changed when he started winning. He started winning a campaign here, winning a campaign there, got the nomination here, got the nomination there. Suddenly it changed from the buffoon reality TV star who is out of his depth trying to run for politics. The story changed. From buffoon to fascist. From buffoon to windmill gangster. All of the labels started to change. And throughout, Trump didn't really change. He didn't change. He was him. So the left in that situation changed. And that was when the temperature turned up. The temperature turned up as early as early as mid 2016. Probably even early 2016. The temperature turned up. And who turned up the temperature? Was it the evil far right? Who just, for most of the time, just called leftists either misguided or stupid or SJWs? Were they the one who turned up the temperature? Or was it the people who started calling others windmill gangsters, started calling others bigots, started calling others cancer of society, started calling others evil, and started telling others you are on the wrong side of history? Who turned up the temperature, Destiny? Who turned up the temperature?
Would you
his
expect
side to
anybody,
calm down.
Destiny?
You
what?
can't answer that. Can you answer that question? Why can't
Can
Trump
you
go on
answer
TV and
this
say,
question?
all of us should be less violent?
Why do you
can't
think
Trump say that?
He did. He did. During the 2020 election, I remember I heard his videos. I heard his announcements. Even when he lost, he said, "Do not be violent. Be united but be non-violent. Be united but be peaceful." I remember he said those words. And I don't know what is wrong with Destiny. I don't know what was wrong with Destiny. It's like he either chose not to listen to what Trump said back in 2020, even during the height of the 2020 riots. We read the news. I even see social media posts from Trump supporters, the MAGA people. They're saying, why the hell does Trump not put his foot down and quash the riots? Why does he keep talking to them? Why does he keep going on air to talk about peace? Why does he keep going on air to talk about non-violence? I remember a lot of his members were that upset because the entire country was burning. Well, the big cities were burning. The big cities were burning and he did nothing. Where was the, as the Pak Chol would say, where were the Gestapos? Where were the secret police? Where were the political police? Didn't happen. Largely didn't happen. In fact, the opposite happened. The police caught these rioters. Within hours, they were released. Charges dropped. And all of you, Pak Chol, if Pak Chol, if any of you disagree with me on this stream right now, you explain to me what I got wrong. Okay? My evidence is that I have been online for quite a few years. I saw, I read, I heard secondary sources, primary sources, recordings, audio recordings, photo, video. I saw everything. Tell me what I saw it was wrong. Tell me not to believe my lying eyes. But of course, it didn't suit Destiny that time that Trump said, focus on peace. Do not cross the line. I heard his announcements, but for some reason Destiny said it never happened. So,
Why do
Why
you
is
think
your
Trump-
behavior contingent on Donald Trump?
oh, by the way, I am... Lucas, I have to be a bit honest with you all. I'm becoming a bigger fan of Anna Kasparian. Back in 2012 and 2013, I used to watch Young Turks. They were fun. They were fun to watch. They were quite fun to watch. And when they kind of went crazy during 2015, 2016, I just kind of got put off by them. I kind of got put off by them, especially when Anna Kaspari went on to the meltdown about saying, I'm better than you. I'm better than you because you don't believe in the things I believe, therefore I'm better than you. That really rubbed me the wrong way. And for some time, I just stopped. I just stopped following Young Turks. I never hated the Young Turks. That's the funniest thing. I never hated even when, because of that meltdown they had over Trump's first win, I still never really hated the Young Turks. I was disappointed in their behavior for sure, but never hated. Yes, it was. OP, it was back in it was around 2017 it happened. It was around 2017 it happened, OP. It was like a Politicon or something like that. And AJ basically just like turned up just to say hi to Cheng and Anna. And they were not thrilled to see him there, and Anna ended up saying, "You F," yeah, called him fat basically. But I feel like Anna Kasparian was the first. No, Jimmy Dore was the first. Jimmy Dore was the first to realize something was very wrong, and he left the Young Turks. And he made his own show, which is actually pretty informative and entertaining as well. I like Jimmy Dore. When he was in the Young Turks, and when he left to make his own show, I also followed him there, and he says a lot of things that I agree with, some I disagree with. Of course, I can't agree with him on absolutely everything, but I enjoyed his shows. And when I've heard about Anna Kasparian having a change of heart, it's not like 180 shades of heart, but it's like the change of heart that matters. The change of heart that you believe what you see, you believe what you hear, and you think and question whether there are just some things that transcend political size and it's just things that decent, kind people should always accept as a norm. So in that regard, I feel like, yeah, Anna was not her best over that meltdown in 2016, but when she started thinking reasonably again, she understood things should not be a matter of us versus them. It should not be a matter of us versus them. It should just be a matter of people understanding each other and people understanding when things have gone over the line and when things are not over the line. So I am actually watching more Anna Kasparian again. And make no mistake, Anna Kasparian is still a leftist true and true. But I don't care. You know why I don't care? Because as long as the people subscribe to the most basic standards of humanity, such as you don't wish for the death of people, you don't wish to inflict violence on people, and you don't threaten people all because you disagree with them politically, I am completely fine. I'm completely fine. And if Cheng does the same thing, who knows, I might actually watch more Young Turks again one day, who knows. They can still hate Trump. I don't care. They can still hate Trump, they can still say he's terrible. But as long as they don't threaten people over political beliefs, I'm completely fine with that.
Insane right now.
Why do you
is
think? No,
your
let me
behavior
ask a
contingent
question.
on Donald Trump?
Be less violent.
Why do you
Yeah, this Anna said a very
Think-
important
Say that.
point.
Why do you
Why is
think?
your
Trump say
behavior
that? I feel like
contingent on
I'm
Donald Trump?
insane right now.
Why do you
is
think?
your
No, let me
behavior
ask a
contingent
question.
on Donald Trump?
Let me
Why
ask
is
a
your
question.
You see, there is this phrase that is said a lot in where I live, okay? It's called Yet Yong Wan Yet Yong. You probably heard it before. This is this, that is that. That's basically what it means. Yet Yong Wan Yet Yong. This is this, that is that. And Anna made a very important point here. Why is your behavior contingent on Donald Trump? Why? You are supposed to be better than him. You're supposed to be more reasonable than him. You're supposed to be kinder than him. Why right now are you saying things that are worse than him, all because, according to you, let's just say, assume for argument's sake that you're correct about Donald Trump, he's been calling for violence or something like that. Let's say for argument's sake, okay? Why don't you be, as you say, the better person? Why don't you be the better man? Why just because Trump is hateful, you have to match his level of hatefulness? That just makes you as unlikable as him. Yeah, I thought Cheng. I followed Cheng for quite some time already. Where the moment Elon took over Twitter and all my shadow bans were gone. Not that I even used Twitter that time, but one of the first few accounts I followed was Cheng. Believe it or not. So yeah, this is really what baffles me. there's a lot of pak chor who talk about how Trump or the late Charlie Kirk or J.D. Vance or any person who is not a leftist, not a far leftist, are evil, bigoted, windmill gangster and all of that. But what about them in response? Now we're talking about both sides. Now I can bring up the both sides. Only in the most stylized, only by, again, is projection theory again. It is projection. Oh my god, it's projection all over again. The reason that pak chor makes the both sides arguments is because they project the worst of themselves onto their enemies. And because they perceive their enemies to be at least as bad or worse than them, even if it's factually incorrect, that is why they bring up the both sides arguments and think it is valid. Here's the thing. And this is the thing that really because of my own experience, I can never take a pak chor labeling me as far right or right wing seriously already. And you know why? You know why? I've talked to so many people, and I would like to think, I can't assume, but I would like to think that I've been friends with a lot of people online who are very not Christian and very not right-wing. But me and them can still talk casually, can still talk amicably, can still talk like human beings between each other, because we believe in fundamental things. Fundamental things that have nothing to do with politics, but have everything to do with just being kind, decent people. And also, the funniest thing is, I still got people who call me a leftist till this day. Some of them will be like saying that, I know what you are. I know what you are. You are just a clout-chasing leftist who is pretending you're just a clout-chasing leftist. Some called me that. But let's finish this. I'm rambling a bit too much.
The President of the United States of America and the leader of the opposing political party.
Destiny. Let me
You
just...
have a
So this is this and this is this and that is that. Again, why do you have to be as bad as the person you claim who is a horrible person? Why do you have to be that? Why do you have to be that? Why do you have to match the evil that you are calling out? This is what baffles me with a lot of pak chor. This is really what baffles me with a lot of pak chor. But Lucas, please answer me this. Why? You call someone evil, you call someone horrible, you call someone bad, and all of those adjectives you can think about, but why do you counter that with being equally evil on the other side? And this is of course assuming what Destiny said is true about Trump, okay? I'm making that assumption for the purposes of this question. I don't know. here's the thing. Here's the thing. Maybe it's a flaw of mine, and maybe it's a flaw that is incompatible with most of the internet, but I try to avoid the personal lives of different public figures on the internet. I will only ever call out their actions. I do not like digging into other people's lives or digging into other people's personal problems, unless of course I get showed it. Like the case of Destiny's son, hating him so much that he identifies as everything the opposite of his father. But all I know is that Destiny's, like Hassan's, the words that come out of their mouth are evil words. They are evil words. And it's ironic and it's funny. It is so funny. But I guess it's just as well. Till now, Destiny and Hassan are at each other's necks. Till now. Let's finish this. After that, we can continue.
Huge audience
talking.
of young men who
I'm a
listen to
YouTuber
everything you have to
who
say.
has more
So
young
when
men
you,
following
it
him.
doesn't matter.
Who
You
has
have a
more young-
huge
it doesn't
audience,
matter.
and because
This
of
Yes.
the fact that you have a
world
huge
I'm living in,
audience,
and
you
your
have
brain
a
has been
responsibility
broken by
to
online
not turn.
rhetoric.
No,
And
it
your
hasn't.
brain
It
has
hasn't been
been
broken. I
destroyed
actually care
because
about the
people
country
bullied you on
and want to
Twitter.
bring people together.
If
You do
then
the
you should tell
opposite.
Donald
You
Trump to
represent
tell
the
people
worst
to
of us,
be
Destiny.
less.
Shout the crime statistics? Not exactly like
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay, I'm done today. I don't give a fuck. God, it's gonna be so fucking gay if I get killed in the next fucking 2 months of shit I'm doing. Well, the cucked shit out here. Please don't anybody make any actual fucking, the most cucked, weak-ass, fucking bullshit-ass speeches on my side. God, if it happens, holy shit, I'm gonna make a death note before I go out to go live and not... God, it's so cucked. It's so optics cucked.
And just so you know, lurkers, what he meant by this is that I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it. You all probably know what he means. You all probably know what he means. I don't even think I need to tell you what he's saying. I mean, let's be fair here. I think not because I oppose him politically. In fact, there might be even some things I might agree with him, I don't know. But it does not matter anymore. And you know why it does not matter? Because if I disagree with him on even a single thing, he thinks I am deserving of losing my life. He thinks because I can agree with him 99 out of 100 things, but that 1 out of 100 thing is enough reason for me to lose my life according to him. In that regard, I feel like Destiny has the gall to talk about freedom of speech. He has the gall to talk about First Amendment. Okay, sure. Keep your freedom of speech. Keep your First Amendment. Continue to say all of the unhinged things you have been saying for the past few days. But you know what? When YouTube demonetized him, Twitch permanently banned him, all he has right now is Kick. And I don't know how long he will have his Kick, but if he gets demonetized on Kick, I will not cry for him. I will not. Yeah. He's free to talk anything he wants. He's free to say any twisted things he wants. But what he does not have the right to is to be rewarded for it. And there is this article I want to show you all. Okay? This article I want to show you all. And as I was reading this, I am extremely shocked. I am extremely shocked. Extremely shocked. And DZI, it is related to your point, yes. It is very related to your point. I simply believe that people who seek to destroy free speech do not deserve to be protected by free speech. Do you remember all those years back, all those cancel culture? Especially during the peak of the Twitter cancel, the old Twitter, peak of canceling, peak of shadow bans, peak of suspensions. Remember those days? How all of this picture, day after day after day, when a new, not even conservative, not even fully right wing, when a moderate gets suspended, when a moderate gets silenced, they come up and say, oh, they're just a private company. They're just a private company. They get to do whatever they want. Well, ABC and Disney are private companies. In your perspective, they get to do what they want with Jimmy Kimmel. And you know what you did? You shut up ABC. You went to an ABC office, you used a gun, and you shot at a window 3 times to intimidate the people working there. That is your response to the private company when it makes you affected. Welcome, Ayane. Welcome. But on your topic, DZ, this shocked me. The students who debated with Charlie Kirk, his goal was to verbally defeat us. What the fuck? What the fuck are you? What nonsense are you? That is the point of a debate, you dense fool. That is the point of a debate. Debate is about winning. Verbally defeating your opponent, that is the facts. That is the point of a debate. Let's read it. I'm kind of curious. Young liberal challenged Kirk's conservative views on the viral YouTube series around it, an unnerving spectacle according to a rhetoric expert. Unnerving? Okay, let's see how unnerving it is. Let's have a look how unnerving it is. Let us have a look. In the days after his departure, Charlie Kirk was remembered by his allies as a great debater. A quote taken from a widely shared video of Kirk discussing his life's work. When people stop talking, that's when violence happens. Kirk toured American college campuses with his right-wing non-profit Turning Point USA, where he would set up a tent table and a microphone and debate with undergrads. The goal, he said, was to save Western civilization, and remembrance after his death positioned him as a budding statesman, a conservative hero who strode across the political divide for the sake of open dialogue. Kirk applied basic rules of civility in his debate style, asking for opponents their names, saying it was nice to meet them, engaging young people in political discourse at a time when society has been split into bitterly antagonistic camps. But his critics are taking issue with any version already. You already see this is a problem, right, Lurkers? Any version is a problem. That does not account for the bigoted nature of his arguments. So yeah, just like, yeah, this is the problem. Oh my god, Bakcho. My god. You know what's the problem here? There are two things. When you're discussing someone over opinions, there are two things. First is your point. Of course it's your point. Second is the presentation of your point. How you convey it. How you express it. What has been said in the past few paragraphs does not... Okay, him having bigoted opinions according to you does not invalidate what was said in the past few paragraphs. Because the past few paragraphs we have just read is about his presentation of his opinions. It does not matter what his opinions in, but you admit the presentation of his opinions were civil and polite. I don't think Charlie entered debates to come to a common consensus to discover the truth. That's why it's called a debate. Graduate student, 26-year-old Mason. That is why it's called a debate. I'm pretty sure you didn't go into a debate with Charlie Kirk to reach to a common consensus or discover the truth yourself. You just want to stump him on a debate stage. Common consensus is not the goal of a debate. Discover the truth? Perhaps. Perhaps. But common consensus, that's nonsense. If you want a common consensus, you have a dialogue, not a debate. When you are already posturing it as being a debate, you are making it very clear that there will be a winner and a loser. If you want common consensus, you have a dialogue. You have a mediation. You have a mediated discussion. That is common consensus. That is why it is called... That is why there is something called mediation and reconciliation. A debate is none of that. I don't know who was it who is creating or redefining words, but a debate has a winner and a loser. Someone is coming out of that losing. Yes, Burger Cat, I am aware of Yuri Besmenov. But let's continue anyway. 26. No, duh! It's a debate. What do you Lucas, this might just be my opinion, but I think that The Guardian is... There is no point for this article to exist. I think there is 0 point for this article to exist. Reach out to Van Jones for a friendly debate before his incident. I don't know Jamie Lee Curtis cried for Charlie Kirk. And Jamie Lee Curtis really does not like Charlie Kirk's opinions. That says a lot about him also. And for that, this is why I will never say all leftists. I will never say all leftists because there are bad people and there are good people. It is a shame that so many of the most psychotic and evil people have latched themselves onto the left wing. But I still think it's more important to call out the evil people directly rather than just saying all leftists. And the bad are often the loudest, yes. The bad are the loudest until the majority calls them out and tells them to shut up. Or kick them out. I would love to see the majority of the majority of leftists who still have a heart kick out the psychos. This being a formidable combatant, he knew the arguments for nearly every conservative principle, even theological concept, and he spent years to develop the ability, so it's a great challenge. Here's a thought. There's a thought, Mason. Have you considered not letting him do that? Have you considered not letting him do that? If a conversation was not going his way, you pin him down on that conversation and make him admit a loss. Unless you could not. Unless you could not. And it was not because the conversation was not going his way, it was that the conversation was not going your way. And he was being nice about it, and he's trying to pivot to a different topic because he's still he's trying not to agitate you. Why did you, Guardian? Why did you put this word in? Say what you want about the safe legal rare thing, but what an odd thing to put in. You could have just said in another, he called the term fetus just a word for a human being. He could just say, why do you add falsely? Why do you put that in? It's a matter of opinion, isn't it? Why do you put that in? Golden college students would eagerly step up to query or challenge him with leading questions that were intended to elicit strong emotions. I can tell you right now, I can ask this question anywhere else outside of America, anywhere else outside of Western Europe. And people would answer that question without blinking. Straight to your face without blinking in a second. But for some reason that baffles me, it is apparently such a difficult question to answer. It is a very difficult question to answer in America and a very difficult question to answer in Western Europe. What I'm expressing here is not being for or against this type of concept, but what I'm saying is what I'm noticing is any other country in the world would answer that. Any person in any other country in the world other than Western Europe and America would answer that question point blank without stumbling. And by the way, I follow Pak Jaw academia, quote unquote. Wasn't there a statement about how gender is a social construct or all of that things? And also, what is racism? Why does this statement elicit strong emotions? I can tell you right now. To me, racism is very straightforward. Discrimination or having opinions on someone based on their race. That literally is racism. Why is that such a strong emotion? Why is that such a gotcha? It says more about the people living in US college campuses than it says about Charlie Kirk. If that is a question that stumps them and gives them strong emotions. You can ask Martin Luther King Jr. from the 1960s. You can ask him what is racism. He'll give you an answer straight away. And you know what's the ironic thing? All of these college campus Bapchor students will probably hate MLK for his explanation of what racism is. Let's continue. At its core, debate is supposed to be an academic exercise, with the goal being to be forthright and genuine in the information you present. Yeah? In a good faith debate, no, it's not. No. No. No, 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 no. No. You are changing the definition. This is why I say it's revisionism and changing definitions. In a good faith debate, the goal is to win, but not resorting to lying. That is the point of a debate. The goal of a debate is to win over someone's ideas with yours by being well researched enough about it and arguing it good enough. Consensus, yes. Consensus is the goal of mediation. Consensus is the goal of negotiations. And consensus is the goal of reconciliations. Debate. Consensus is not the goal of a debate. I don't know whoever this is. Professor of Writing Studies and Rhetoric. You do not deserve, in my opinion, you do not deserve your professorship. You are changing the definitions to suit your purposes, to make a dead man look bad. That is what it looks like to me. So in a way, I guess, well, it's not working on me for sure. It's not working on me for sure, so it's failing at rhetoric already. Because I know what a debate means. Maybe it will. Maybe the people you teach in your college campuses will fall for this. But it's not going to work on me. I was educated the good old-fashioned way. And the good old-fashioned way, by that I mean I was taught on facts rather than opinions. 2 + 2 = 4. But I suppose to some Americans and Pakjo, they would say, oh, that is a bigoted answer. I mean, I've seen some of this actually, yeah. I've seen some of this, yeah, but here's the thing. It's a YouTube thing. It's a YouTube thing. If you want to blame anyone, blame YouTube. Blame YouTube for prioritizing its algorithm to clickbaity titles. Here's the thing. Again, I do not understand what all these campus professors are thinking, but their entire argument hinges on the assumption that Charlie Kirk is not debating students. This is not a negotiation. This is not a dialogue. This is not a discussion. It's a debate. Even you admit it's a debate. Oh, now you admit it. Now you admit it. Thank you. At least this guy. Not the biggest fan of a debate format. It invalidates this entire article. Holy moly. Why did you put this in Guardian? It invalidates the entire point of this article. Exactly. That is the point of a debate. That is why this person disapproves of a debate, because he knows what a debate means. That is exactly true. And all of these other professors above, they're either lying or they have no idea what they're talking about by equating a debate with a discussion and reaching consensus. This whole article is falling apart. Oh my god, this whole article is falling apart. I think The Guardian putting this in was a mistake. If he wants to lie to people, if they want to lie to people that debate is about reaching consensus, they should not have put this. They should not have put all of this in later on. Because of this, the entire above here are all so stupid. Basically, what it says to me is, so is debate reaching consensus or is debate confrontational and entertaining? It almost looks like this was written by AI. It almost looks like this was written by AI. I think I don't want to read this anymore. Y'all can read this if you want. It is a whole lot of nothing, in my opinion. Basically, all of it is dumbed down to... Charlie Kirk is good at debating people and we are upset that we can't win against him. That is the entire point of this. That is the entire point of this article, and I think you all don't want to read this anymore. Neither do I. Okay, another video. I'm gonna take a short break. After that, we're gonna watch another video. Okay, lurkers? After that, we're gonna watch another video. We're gonna watch another video, but I'm gonna take a short break for now, okay? I'll see you all in a few minutes. Lurkers, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell button for all of your Banmin updates. If you don't, something's going to happen to you at 3 a.m. tonight. $5 a month. Okay. Every time I see that cafe things, I'm gonna react but with that. Every time I see those cafe things, I'm going to say that again. Look at all these cafe things. Nope. Serotonin is the stream over. Oh no. Oh, you're not leaving that easily, lurkers. You're not leaving that easily. Serotonin, you're not leaving that easily. This is a video from Shu on Hate, and I wanted to show it to you all because I share a lot of opinions on Shu on Hate with this one.
On September 10th, Charlie Kirk was giving a talk at Utah Valley University, and out of nowhere he was dead, live, in front of a bunch of college kids, in front of his wife and his 2 children. I don't think the country is ever going to be the same. Not only because of this horrific tragedy, but because of everything that followed. The dark, disturbing realization that we may not be on the same page as our coworkers, classmates, friends, neighbors, doctors, when it comes to the issue of murder. I was crashing out on Twitter a few days ago, just stream of consciousness posting about it, with run-on sentences and everything. 4 days later, I have a clearer head, but I still feel the exact same way. So we are going to talk about what happened, we're going to talk about the aftermath, and then we're going to get a little personal, because frankly, I don't see the country the same anymore, and I know a lot of you feel the exact same way, so we're going to talk about it after we talk about everything else. Charlie Kirk was not a healthcare CEO, he was not a powerful politician, and let me be 100% clear, I'm not saying this to say that it's okay when those people are murdered. My point is that those are positions of power that most people cannot relate to. Like, the average person is just so far removed from that world. But I think what happened to Charlie is hitting differently because, like I said on Twitter, he was just a f***ing guy. He was a f***ing podcaster. He was a guy who talked about politics. He was a guy who had conservative beliefs. Not everyone knows a billionaire CEO or a powerful politician, but they do know somebody with conservative beliefs. They know somebody who holds some or many of Charlie Kirk's opinions. Because despite what people in their little bubble believe, his core ideology and what he believed is the same shit like your conservative boomer uncle on Facebook posts.
The statements rings true. This is you. This is not literally you, but it is the idea of you. It is the symbol of you. And the fact that you can lose your life over opinions means everyone is fair game. To an extent, that TikToker who said that Charlie was a literal nobody and that him losing his life ultimately equates to nothing, half correct. But what she got wrong was the effect. She was half correct because, yes, Charlie was literally someone. She was just someone in the sea of billions, millions, billions. Thank you, Trumpet. He was just someone in the sea of millions or billions. Some guy who has opinions and argues with people online and face to face over it. Any guy. He could be you, he could be you, he could be your friend next to you in your university class. It could be anyone. Could be your uncle. Could be your little brother. And it does not matter. Because what it meant after that incident is that you, an average person, can easily lose your life if you commit the grave sin or mistake of disagreeing with people like the ones who killed him. So, Charlie, in my opinion, I don't care about what Charlie believed in, but rather I care about the symbolism of Charlie. Charlie is us, Charlie is you, and because he died, it means the symbol of you has a chance to die. Over something so petty, over something so stupid, over something so ultimately pointless. Yes, Arden, his demise signified that everyone is an acceptable casualty on the pedestal of politics.
You can only disagree with this if you are unfamiliar with Charlie Kirk, or you are unfamiliar with the many different branches and different ideologies of the right wing. Now, don't get me wrong, Charlie Kirk had many bad takes over the years. Like, for example, the two most popular quotes I see people posting are the one where he advocated for stoning gays and black women are too stupid to be pilots. But guess what? Both those things, the two most popular quotes people are posting to justify this guy being murdered, are out of context. But idiots like Stephen King ran with it, then later had to apologize for spreading misinformation about a dead man. These people will build a straw man of you in their minds. They get so fucking mad about it that they celebrate the real you dying. Horrifying. But more importantly, even if everything was in context, who cares? Oh, he said this, oh, he said this. I don't care. There are many things he said that I disagree with. There are many things he said that I think are bad. Who cares? It is just a fact that nothing he said warranted his life being taken away. This is America. We have freedom of speech here. Unless you criticize a certain country, but for the most part, we have freedom of speech here. So after detaining not just one wrong guy, but two wrong guys, the FBI finally got the shooter. Only because his own father turned him in. I guess they were just too fucking busy not releasing the Epstein files to catch a political assassin. It was this f***ass demon, Tyler Robinson, 22 years old, another irony-poisoned Reddit shooter who wrote a bunch of memes on the bullets, including "Hey fascist catch" and
"Notices bulges, capital OWO, what's this question mark?"
I fucking hate it here. A lot of people were saying that the shooter was a groiper, which is a far-right fan of the streamer Nick Fuentes, and I have no fucking idea where that came from. I'm gonna be so honest, I have seen no actual proof of this. And it doesn't make sense because someone further right than Charlie Kirk wouldn't call Charlie Kirk a fascist, and they wouldn't say he was hateful. Their proof is that the shooter once dressed up like the Slav squat meme from 2012, and they also found a separate meme of Pepe the Frog dressed like the Slav squat meme. Therefore, the shooter is a groiper. That is like seeing a photo of the shooter dressed like a clown, and then seeing this image of Pepe the Frog dressed like a clown, and then being like groiper confirmed. What is the connection? The shooter didn't even post the Pepe image. Like, where did the Pepe even come from? Just a bunch of liberal boomers not understanding memes. The other thing I saw was the shooter had Republican parents, and therefore the shooter must be Republican, which is just funny because
I want to talk about this. My past experiences. I have seen so many posts on Facebook. A lot of posts on Facebook, actually. And I always see a lot of Pak Chor back in the days who virtue signal a lot. How they say their parents were like very, very far right, and they are very, very Christian, and they are very, very strict conservatives. And you know what? I said I had enough. I had enough. I cut off contact from them, and now I'm living somewhere in California and doing this, and that. Do you know how many of those type of posts I've seen over the years? That means nothing. And the fact that Pak Chor are trying to pretend it does not happen suddenly because it's politically expedient is so stupid. Having conservative parents means nothing. If anything, it means the opposite. Especially in places like America, it means the opposite. Because the problem with a lot of American kids is that they are more rebellious. They are way more rebellious than other countries. And that means whatever their parents are, they're the complete opposite. Look at Destiny's son. Look at Destiny's son. Look at Destiny's son. By that logic, is Destiny's son a turbo leftist? By that logic, is he the omniliberal part 2? Is Destiny's son omniliberal too? Answer me. Destiny's son despises his father so much that he has actively chosen to be the complete opposite in every single way to his father.
We all see what these people say about their Republican parents every Thanksgiving. But I guess we'll see. It's September 14th when I am recording this, so maybe more things will come out. Editor Shu here, more things came out. Definitely not a Groyper. At the end of the day, he could have every single one of my or your opinions.
See you later,
It
Zero.
ultimately doesn't matter. One person may have pulled the trigger, but then we saw the reaction of many.
We think that Charlie Kirk just got shot in the neck. Ay, ooh, ah.
For any of you lurkers right now, any of you lurking, not even lurkers, any of you lurking right now who is going to want to disagree with me over the whole Pak Chor thing, yeah, Shu compiled a lot, and as I was watching this, I was very disturbed. Very, very disturbed. It does not matter who it happened to, by the way. I can say it right now, it does not matter who it happened to. The fact that they react in such a way is what disgusts me.
I'm not saying she deserved it, but I'm saying God's timing is always right.
Yo, they got Charlie Kirk, bro. I've never been happier.
Never believe the reason I'm smiling. And it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Nothing to do with...
I would say pour one out for Kirky boy, but I don't waste good beer on little bitches.
Rest in peace, bozo!
Charlie Kirk just got put down like a fucking dog in Utah.
I do not, and I will not, ever feel bad when bad people get what the fuck they deserve.
I just heard that someone shot Charlie Kirk? Thoughts and prayers.
Oh no, someone shot Charlie Kirk. Look, I don't know who needs to hear this today, but that's how you pick up a woman.
Homie dead! Fuck your homie dead! Fuck your homie dead! He got shot in the head!
We got Charlie in the neck. We got Charlie in the neck.
Heard someone got shot today. I had a tummy ache this morning. Stay alive out there.
The sympathy for Charlie Kirk is weird. You don't have to like violence, but I'm confused as to how you thought the revolution was going to be magically bloodless.
I've been saying we need to bring...
This one hurts me the most. This one hurts me the most. This is why This is why I tell my friends who have children, never send them to US, never send them to UK at this point. Never! Listen to what she says. Listen to what she says. I want you to listen exactly to what she says. I want you to listen exactly to what she says.
I don't think that everyone deserves the right to free speech. I think some people should be afraid to express their opinion in public.
I didn't.
Remember the story I gave you about I had a friend whose children were very, very rude to someone who is so much older than them. Remember? Remember that? Do you remember that?
List.
I've been saying we need to bring back political assassinations. I don't feel bad, and I don't think that everyone deserves the right to free speech. I think some people should be afraid to express their opinion in public.
This is what happens when you let Californians teach your children. This is what happens. This is what happens when Californians teach your children, and you do not give them the care, the love, and the attention and the guidance that they need before they go there. This is what happens. This is what I'm going to use the Pak Chaw's words against them, okay? I'm going to use the Pak Chaw's words against them. Internalize colonialism. Internalize colonialism. I'm going to use this word and it's accurate. Talking like a Californian. The gal.
I didn't like what he said, and I didn't like his opinions, and I don't really give a shit that he's dead.
The best part of this whole goddamn thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing.
This is the woman who made the most telling statement. That's why I say she's half correct. He is literally anyone. He's literally anyone. And that's why the reaction... She got the other half wrong. She got the first half right and she got the other half extremely, extremely wrong. She's right in that he was literally anyone. He's literally who he's literally anyone. But the second part was that because he was literally anyone, it means anyone, it symbolizes that anyone can be a target. And that is why people are reacting so intensely
It will
right now.
activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great. There are a lot of
it is not great. Spoiler alert, it was not
people
great.
that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
Charlie Kirk just got shot.
I saw the video before they even put out the confirmation. There was no chance that he made it through that. This wasn't the one we were hoping for, but a welcome surprise nonetheless.
I'm surprised that y'all didn't get rid of him sooner.
This is the worst. This was one of the worst. This was the worst one, actually.
That you guys aren't getting rid of more people. Like, don't stop with him. Don't let him be the end dog. Get rid of them all. His wife deserves to go too. Y'all keep on talking about his wife and kids. They need to go too because they're carrying on that mentality and that lineage. Like, get rid of the whole family. I'm so sorry. Why did you guys stop with him?
There were thousands of videos like that. Some of these people posting with their full names and faces, with hundreds and thousands of likes. Thousands of tweets celebrating it, with 500,000 likes. And it's important to remember that all of those likes are a real person. Millions of people.
If there is one white pill I can give to Shu on this regard, is that likely not true. Botted likes. And I'm surprised that he hasn't picked up. The whole idea of bottom likes, I'm surprised people haven't started noticing it. But sure, probably tens of thousands believe like that. But a lot of it is botted likes. These people spouting this much evil, you see their comment section. You see the people who are, quote, posting them. You see the posts on X about all those, quote unquote, make them famous posts on X. I find it hard to believe that actual 500,000 people like those posts organically. And also there have been multiple evidence, and there's even websites that exist where you can bot likes. You can bot likes for Instagram, you can bot likes for X, you can bot likes for TikTok. So at least there is a white pill in that regard. It's botted.
People in this country apparently believe the acceptable response to speech they don't like is murder. This wasn't just a bunch of fringe blue hair SJWs or whatever. They were teachers, professors, doctors.
And by the way, the incident took place in a gun-free zone.
HR workers, healthcare workers, nurses, pediatricians, people who work with kids, people's classmates, roommates. They are teachers showing our children the gory.
Oh, I remember this, the context of this video. Oh my god, I remember the context of this article now. So you know why? Do you know why this? I don't even want to call this person a teacher. Because that is not what a teacher should be doing. And this person deserves prison time for what he or she did. The Utah campus is gun-free zone at the very least. Lekachan, the Utah campus is a gun-free zone at the very least. But the context of this was... I think I watched this before in last week's stream, but the context was this was based on another misrepresentation. Another misrepresentation. Charlie was on a podcast with a few people, and they were talking about public executions. And one of the people in the podcast, not even Charlie himself, was talking about how, long story short, kids should watch it or something like that. And Charlie's response was sarcastic, and basically he was calling out and saying that basically his point was, seriously no, you do not need kids to watch these things. But of course, knowing the Pak Jaw, they misrepresented what he said, and he misrepresented him into saying that he wants kids to watch this. When if you actually watch the original video, it indicated the opposite. And because of that, this teacher shows 10-year-old kids this video. What the hell is wrong with some people?
Horrifying video of Charlie's murder on repeat. The hippy-dippy "in this house we believe" shitlib mask was ripped off, and underneath was nothing but psychopathic bloodlust. I have seen people on the right celebrate the death of people they disagree with. I've seen it. I remember Heather Heyer in 2017. But I also remember the whole internet, left and right, coming together to disavow and mock the few dozen people from Stormfront who were celebrating her death. This is different. It's never been like this before. It's never been this much. It's never been this brazen. Normal people have to log into like an alternate Twitter account where they can post their more unorthodox opinions. And these people are out here full face, full name, like hell yeah, murder. What? The smug, unearned confidence these people have to be openly sociopathic with their full name and face because they live under the pathetic delusion of being on the right side of history needs to end. They will blame you for your death because words are violence. Words are violence, so them killing you is just self-defense. That's why they're using Kyle Rittenhouse as some kind of gotcha. Oh, if you don't condone political violence, why do you support Kyle Rittenhouse? They fundamentally don't see the difference between killing someone over speech and—
Oh, by the way, if any of you actually believe that, I hope none of you believe that. I hope none of you believe that whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, seriously. But if any of you do believe that, just so you know, you want to gotcha me on that, I am going to give you a full deluge of information. I'm going to give you all the information you ever want, and it's not the information that you will want. Okay? You want to come up to my face and talk to me about Kyle Rittenhouse? I am very open for that. I'm going to give you all the information you could ever need or want. But I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want the information that I would give you. Okay? Long story short. 3 people. 2. 2 tried to snatch the gun from his hand. 1 had a gun in his pocket and he pulled it out to aim at him. The 2 people who were closest to him in proximity, one of them was a convicted diddler who attacked him first. The second one is a convicted abuser of his girlfriend or wife. Convicted abuser of his girlfriend, who also joined in on the attack against him. And the third one was also convicted, if I recall correctly, theft and assault and vandalism. Took out his gun, wanting to aim at him. I can take it. So, don't make my day. If you want to go after me on this whole Kyle thing, just so you know, I have done my homework on it.
And killing someone over self-defense, because these are the same things to them. Also, I'm going to be the one to point it out, because of course I am. I saw nobody else do it. Why are most of them women? Most of the people celebrating are women. Like, it's a good, like, 80-20 ratio all over the internet. What is going on, ladies? Basically, the whole country is shook because last year they realized how many people would celebrate the murder of a president, and this year they realized how many people would celebrate the murder of them. At the end of the day, this is all the inevitable conclusion of the punch a Nazi thing from like 2017. Do you guys remember that? We always knew it was a slippery slope. That's why we were against it. And they always say this dumb shit like, if you don't want to be called a Nazi, stop being a Nazi. Even a congressman from my state, New York, was like, oh, if you want to stop being called a fascist, you should stop being a fascist. Yeah, that's great, except you've called everyone and their mother a fascist and a Nazi for the past like 15.
They do not. I want to word this in a very TOS friendly. They do not want to see you lose your life because you are a windmill gangster. They want They want you to lose your life. They call you a windmill gangster because they want you to lose your life. I really don't like all these bypass words. I really do not like all these bypass words.
And I see a lot of progressives in my audience like, Shu, you're not like Charlie Kirk. You're not a fascist. Here are all the things I have been called Nazi, fascist, reactionary for over the last few years. Would you like to see? I have been making this list since 2023. Let's go. Let's just read this together real quick. Mocking / criticizing pop feminism. Believing adults can do whatever they want. Being pro-free speech. Being liberal. Talking to people I disagree with. Being friends with people I disagree with. Following people on Twitter I disagree with. Supporting Bernie Sanders. That one came from the right. Being registered independent. Criticizing Joe Biden. Criticizing the Democratic Party. Not being attracted to feminine men. Not hating men in general. Criticizing Canada's MAID program. Not taking...
Not being attracted to feminine men. I can't believe it. I will withdraw before I say anything else. I have some thoughts in my head about that type of accusation, but I will keep it to myself.
Criticizing the FBI, criticizing the CIA, believing the CIA killed JFK, using an American flag backdrop for my videos, saying elites, saying working class, saying based, making a joke about Joe Biden eating ice cream, making a joke about Pete Buttigieg being born in a test tube, making jokes in general, being cis, being white, being a woman, being a...
Not being a woman.
Cis white woman, telling someone to take a shower, not being anti-gun, not being fat, being monogamous, liking Huey Long, celebrating the 4th of July, supporting Assange.
You know what? Till now, I still do not know who actually unironically opposes Assange other than governments and corporations. Lucas, I don't know. I can't conceivably know. I can't conceivably know how many people actually unironically oppose Assange. And not like, of course the corporation would oppose Assange. He has dirt. Of course governments will oppose Assange. He has dirt. But regular people on the internet, I cannot understand.
Criticizing the movie Cuties, praising the movie Sound of Freedom, being against pedophilia.
This last two is really quite... This last two, holy moly. You would think something so basic is so uncontroversial, but apparently not.
Pedophilia, being against children watching porn, being critical of kink at Pride, being against children performing at drag shows, not being racist, I swear to God, being a class reductionist, saying
not being racist. In other words, like I said back in a lot of streams and also on posts, to the Pakcho, anti-racism does not mean the absence of racism. Anti-racism is being racist but in the opposite direction. So is matter and antimatter. Think about it that way, it's like matter and antimatter. To a reasonable person like you and me, anti-racist just means the absence of racism. In other words, instead of matter, there is no matter, as in nothing, literally nothing. But to the Pakcho, anti-racist just means the targets are flipped. In other words, the polarities are flipped. So, matter and antimatter. Understand? That's why Shu gets attacked for not being racist.
Saying biological sex, mocking people for debating the ethics of necrophilia.
What? Mocking people for debating the ethics of necro. What? How does that get you attacked? How is that a bad thing?
My username, owning a pet rabbit, questioning the Bush administration's involvement in 9/11, growing up in a Catholic family, eating meat, wanting to get married, wanting to have children, being married, having children, being at January 6th to interview people, saying it's okay if someone doesn't want to date a porn star, not wanting to do OnlyFans, criticizing Kanye West, criticizing late-stage capitalism, criticizing the billionaire class, criticizing Israel, criticizing eating the bugs, criticizing a fashion company for being creepy, you'll remember that one, supporting nuclear energy, parentheses, it's toxic masculinity.
Okay, this is another one that confused me. How is nuclear energy toxic masculinity? Lucas, please explain this to me. Explain this to me. Lucas, please explain this to me. How is nuclear energy misogynistic? How?
Supporting TikTok tradwives, supporting one-income households, supporting UBI, supporting farmers, supporting truckers, not celebrating October 7th, supporting Palestine, not liking brutalism, saying colorblind anti-racism was good, wanting to date someone who...
Saying colorblind anti-racism was good is a bad thing? Control, October 7 was not a good incident. A very, very bad incident.
Who has a good relationship with their parents, not liking Indian food, saying men and women are different but complement each other, being followed by JD Vance on Twitter, saying Hillary Duff is cool.
Oh my goodness. A blast to the past. I haven't heard Hillary Duff in a very long time. My god, Hillary Duff. Any of you lurkers who are old enough to remember Hillary Duff? Oh, she was everywhere back in the early 2000s. Everywhere.
Making fun of Reddit, and for Asmongold reacting to me, criticizing American imperialism, wearing...
Oh, criticizing American imperialism, that is so me, Lurkers. That is so me. Oh boy. I made so many enemies back in 2021 to 23 for that. I don't like Hillary Duff. I never liked her. I felt she was overrated. OP.
A bow in my hair, liking VTubers.
Oh my god. Shoe on head. You cannot say that. You cannot say that. Oh my god, shoe on head. You can't say that. No. No, that is That is too far. Shu, you have gone too far. You have gone too far. You have gone too far. How dare you like VTubers? How dare you like VTubers? She is literally cancelled. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you like VTubers? Of course people would hate you. How dare you like VTubers? Okay, seriously, that's funny.
And
That's
now,
funny.
being anti-death.
Charlie Kirk was a fucking Nazi. He was a fucking Nazi. And you know what kind of Nazi is the best Nazi? A dead one.
I am a better person than you for celebrating the death of a Nazi. And actually, it's pretty weird that you're not, and simultaneously asking people to have empathy for the Nazi.
Nazis have children and families, right? But Nazis also get shot in the neck.
They don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they can kill you.
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to talk about my personal feelings
Yes.
of the situation because I know a lot of you can relate. I know a lot of you have been feeling the exact same way. So I will try and put it into words for you. I have friends who were friends with Charlie Kirk, but I didn't personally know him. We follow each other on Twitter. I've been to the TPUSA Amerifest in 2021. I actually went there planning to make a video making fun of it, but I had so much fun and met so many friends that I'm still friends with to this day. So that video never happened. I disagreed with him all the time. You can literally go to our Twitter.
Let's go see.
That
Let's
video
go
never
see.
happened.
Let's
I
have a look. Republicans should not support a bill that pays people not to work. Have you seen the current unemployment in this country, Charles?
Literally go to our
Former KKK leader David Duke endorsed Democrat Tulsi Gabbard for president. For years, we've been told it matters that David Duke supported some Republicans. Of course, now that the Triple K are going to be supporting Democrats, the media told you to.
Twitter interactions.
Oh my
I was always
god. The modern cultural warfare the left is engaged in right now has done more damage to US in 4 years than conservative boogeyman of socialism has ever done in the lifetime of our nation. Time to rethink priorities and calculate a proportional response.
always correcting him about like
Yeah, Bernie has come out a few times. It's not for open borders. Especially
Sanders, I made an egg look like his face. It is safe to say
especially
I
recently.
was no fan. But this has really shaken me in a way that I absolutely did not expect. These last few days after what happened, I kept going to every single like lefty, liberal, left-wing person I know and like checking out what they have been saying about this. And besides maybe like 4 or 5, every single
I've like your child, I think, well, Shu is married already now, but I think maybe, what? Okay, I'm gonna be a bit of a gossiping auntie for a bit. So don't mind me for a moment, Lurkers. I'm sorry, but I can't help it. I can't help it. Shu's relationship with Armored Skeptic was not particularly good. That is all what I do remember. See you, Serotonin, as if you are coming back later. Yeah, she did not have a very... I don't think she had a good relationship with Ahmed Skeptic back when they were dating. And then after Ahmed Skeptic broke up with her, for allegedly a younger version of Shu. Allegedly. She was... At that point in time, she was a bit of a mess mentally. There's no dodging it, actually. There's no dodging it. She was in a bit of a mess. Then afterwards, not too long later, I think a few years ago, she announced that she met another guy. And this guy was like conservative and very religious. But for some reason, like I said, maybe back in 2019, she did, maybe, she did have a, probably, it's not ridiculous to think that she had a crush on Charlie. Maybe. But in the end, Charlie also had his own wife and, as you know, children. And she also eventually found another man. And this man treated her right. And now they're married. So I guess all is fair in the end. But who knows? It might be truer than you think. Who was the one who... Lurker-chan, it might be truer than you think. Your speculation, it might be truer than you think. She probably did have a crush on Charlie. But now both of them have... One of them has her own life and the other one had his own life. So it's kind of sad in the end.
Unhinged psychopath about this. Or saying some backhanded shit like, this is why we need gun control, which, first of all, we were just watching a whole bunch of people celebrate killing someone over political differences. You are never taking our guns now. That is not happening.
And by the way, it was a gun-free zone. Reminder that campus was a gun-free zone.
I felt like I was in the middle of the ocean. I was trying to like grasp onto a flotation device, checking all of these accounts for their take, like, be normal, nothing.
And seriously, that is another very good point that Shu has made. The Baocho have just proven to the entire world that they will use a gun against you over your opinions. What makes you think right now that anyone, not just right-wingers, moderates, left-leaning, anyone who is not a Baocho, will ever give up their means of defense now? And also lastly, a very important point that should always be made. Criminals obey the law. Am I right, Lurkers? Criminals always obey the law. Am I right?
Nobody. I'm just drowning in a sea of evil, apparently. Maybe I was just blind up until now. Maybe they changed. Maybe I changed. Is everyone going crazy or am I going crazy? I don't know. All I know is it is clear how they reacted to this is how they would react to me, my family, my friends, you, your family, your friends, that have ever stepped out of line from the nebulous, ever-changing definition of progressive. These are people I thought were level-headed. They were left-wing, but you know, like, they were one of the good ones. Like, you can joke with them, you know, they weren't those, like, woke SJWs. Like, they were cool, we can disagree and still be friends. You know. Your friend wouldn't celebrate you being murdered, of course. But if they would celebrate an exact clone of you that wasn't you, that had all the same opinions, or some of the opinions,
this is you. It is not literally you, but undeniably this is you. This is the idea of you.
they would celebrate that clone being murdered, they're not your friend. I'm friends with people who are friends with Charlie, and I see how they are completely broken about this. Seeing them like this, and then at the same time my other friends posting shit like, "Rip Bozo." It's just sick. It's just sick shit. Personally, I would rather live in a world full of Charlie Kirks who would sit down and debate than a world full of people who agree with me but would murder people who don't. Because if it's now normalized to just murder people who disagree with you politically, we don't have a society. Like, that's it. It's over. But some of these people in particular, like, why the f are you celebrating? You! They think you're a f***ing Nazi too. They'll make a nice compilation of all the hot takes you've had over the years and spread it around to justify your murder. You don't get it, do you? We are all Charlie Kirk. I have been—
The Martin Niemöller poem. Do you remember the Martin Niemöller poem? It is a very short poem. It was made by of course, by a guy named Martin Niemöller. It basically started along the lines of, when they came for A, I did nothing because I was not part of A. When they came for B, I did not do anything because I was not part of B. Then when it came for C, I didn't do anything because I was not part of C. Then they came for me, and there was no one else to defend me. That was the Martin Niemöller's poem. Let me see if I can find it. It's very important that I show you the poem. First they came for the commies. I did not speak out. I was not a communist. They came for socialists. I didn't speak out. I was not a socialist. They came for the unionists. I did not speak out. I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for them. I did not speak out. I was not one of them. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me.
Been doing this for 11 years. I have been harassed, doxxed, threatened, whatever, you name it, for 11 years by the left. And it hasn't moved me an inch because that's not how politics works. That's lunch table politics. I've talked about this before. People on your side being mean to you doesn't mean
That's not how politics works. That is correct. That is correct. You only change your views because you decide for yourself that the views that you previously subscribed to no longer reflect what you believe. That should be the only reason you should change your views. Not because someone threatened you. Not because someone threatened you. That's not how it works. Shit. What